everyone, Miss GoElectric here. For this In Charge segment, I have with me BJ Birtwell, who is the founder of the Electrify Expo. This is a festival that is all about e-mobility. So I want to ask him a lot of questions, not only about why he created this festival, but what it's all about. So let's get to it. I want to ask you a couple of questions about how you even started this exposition, because it's very unique with your background. So thank you for joining us today, first and foremost.
Glad to be here. I'd love to share the story. It's a pretty interesting story because I'm a car guy. Many people come into EVs for different reasons. Some come because they want to reduce their carbon footprint. Me, I was a car guy. So if you know anything about car guys or car gals, we love cars that perform. But we've only been used to gas cars. So when you're in love with car culture and making cars go fast, and you see this new technology come that eliminates sound, all of a sudden you think that, okay, well, these vehicles have no soul, right? And that's how I felt about electric vehicles up until 2016 when I took my first drive in one. And then I had the light bulb moment, and everything changed for me after that. And that was kind of the genesis of Electrify Expo, is like, look, people have to experience these cars, experience these bikes, scooters, skateboards, in order for them to really feel the thrill of how much fun these vehicles are to own and to drive and ride.
What was the first electric vehicle you...
It was a Model S.
Model S, yes. That was close to mine too, but still, it's one of the most amazing vehicles on the market.
I didn't buy it. I just test drove it, and I was absolutely...
Changed your mind.
I was absolutely shocked and floored. And I think that mindset, though, still exists today with car culture. And that's a really important reason why we have launched ShowOff, Electrify ShowOff, because we're seeing, and I'm so happy about this, we're seeing this reemergence of car culture. And as a car guy, like, we went through a decade or so of people really, kids, really not customizing and modifying cars. And what we're seeing now in the trenches and in the subcultures of car customization are people customizing EVs. So the automotive aftermarket right now is expanding and transitioning into EVs, probably not fast as it should with some of the legacy manufacturers, but there's a bunch of new businesses who are manufacturing parts to make these EVs look cooler and go faster. And we launched Electrify ShowOff to go ahead and bring all of those industries and those businesses in, and then obviously to show off a lot of these customized cars. So here in Long Beach, for example, we'll have over 100 customized EVs. Everything, of course, from Tesla, but you have Kia and Ford and a bunch of other manufacturers represented. It's really cool.
The new and the classic. I love that combination.
Well, exactly. And the conversions. I mean, we have a lowrider conversion out there. We have an old 50s Chevy truck. There's a ton of conversion happening too, EV conversions. So look, you can tell I'm pretty pumped about this segment in the industry, because this is kind of where my personal passion is. But it's also great for consumers to come into Expo and look at, say, an EV6 or a Mach-E, and look at it in stock form at the Ford and at the Kia booth, but then come over to ShowOff and also see it customized. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so that kind of taps really into the core of your professional experience, right? Because you have worked for some brands in that aftermarket realm. SEMA, Maguire, I believe you said before as well. So how does that professional insight play into the creation of Electrify Expo? Well,
you want to do, for a living, you want to do what you love, right? So I in terms of cars and car culture, that's something I've been involved with, basically right out of high school and college. So I went to go work at a car care company called Maguire's. They make cleaners, polishes, and waxes for cars. And I was there for 8 years. I launched a marketing division, a youth marketing division, to help reposition their 100-year-old company for young kids and young adults. And I just continued to stay in the automotive industry. I ran a marketing division at Chrysler for 7 years, and helped launch the Chrysler 300 and Dodge Charger and a lot of those LX platforms. And then had ad agency background. But it's always been car related. So it is great to work where I'm passionate about, and now to launch ShowOff and to see it all come full circle is really, the vision is starting to kind of really become clear, and we're starting to kind of execute and see it happen in real time.
Now, you've been running Electrify Expo for the last few years, though, so this isn't the first year, and I can tell you just from what I've seen that this has grown quite a bit. So can you talk about the scale of how it's transitioned from when you started to the point you're at right now?
Yeah, we still feel like we're a baby. We're going into our third year, but the festival has grown significantly year over year. I mean, just 2 years ago, we were in a grass field, and today we're at venues like, the Long Beach Convention Center, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, and these other amazing venues. And we've needed to go to these venues because our footprint has grown. So we're now 1 million square feet of space. So when people come to Electrify Expo, they have 1 million square feet of stuff, electric stuff, to look at and to experience. So we knew that there was nothing else like us in the industry. We saw that, auto shows are a totally different experience. We don't want people to be stuck behind a velvet rope looking at a car. We design our festival around experiences. So in order to have that light bulb moment, you have to have the experience. And so that's what we've really done here. Everything is pretty much open air, outdoor. It's a festival vibe. There's music, food, family friendly. So it's a much different vibe than being inside like box walls of a convention center, which doesn't work for, I believe, this next generation of how they want to experience cars and bikes and scooters.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you not only are doing a showcase of electric vehicles and people can ride and drive them here, but also the e-mobility side of things. So where do you see the e-mobility industry as far as micromobility, e-bikes, electric scooters, one wheels, things of that nature? How do you see that fitting into the conversation of transportation?
Micromobility is essential to the vibe of Electrify Expo because they're all the cool kids, right? All the cool kids.
Why, thank you.
It's totally true. They bring the vibe and the culture, right? So the bikes, scooters, skateboards, all the electric watercraft and everything that's here, they're the cool kids. They bring the festival vibe. And just in bikes alone here in Long Beach, I mean, you never have enough time to experience everything. There's 80 bike manufacturers here in Long Beach doing demo experiences, just bikes. That's before we get into scooters, skateboards, motorcycles, and everything else. So they bring all this technology and all these amazing experiences to people. And I think Electrify Expo is much bigger than cars. And it's people wanting to experience bikes. I mean, you don't necessarily need a car to get to, say, work or to run an errand. Let's hop on an electric bike, especially in some of these cities where it would make a lot of sense, to go uphill and have a nice electric motor on that bike to go up that hill. People can experience that here and really kind of get bit by the bug of how fun it is to ride an electric bike.
There are a lot of different options when it comes to the micromobility industry that you have showcased out there. Do you feel at this stage of the game with the electric mobility options like the e-bikes and the scooters and things of that nature, there are so many of them, like hundreds. Do you see consolidation happening? Because it seems to me that with that much competition, not everyone might be able to survive. Well, what's your take on that?
Yeah, consolidation is definitely going to happen. I think we're already seeing some signs of a consolidation. The thing that I love about the micromobility space is it's flooded with really smart, brilliant entrepreneurs. And a lot of these are startup businesses, and they're scrappy just like we were. So it really depends on how you scrap. If you know how to scrap and who to scrap with, you're going to make it. But it takes a lot of go-get-emness and stick-to-itiveness in order to make it. And we're going to see that happen over the next couple of years. We're going to see some consolidation, but we're also going to see some great news stories of brands that are rising to the top and giving the legacy bike manufacturers a run for their money.
How are you getting those types of people who are curious that don't have a technology or automotive interest to come to an Electrify Expo?
So that's changed. So even though I said we're still a baby as a company, we're going into our third year, it's changed from 2 years ago. I've seen the audience change. So 2 years ago, it was more of an early adopting audience. And today, it's much more of a mainstream audience. So people are coming to Electrify Expo today. This is their very first time ever experiencing an electric vehicle of any kind. So they have all of the basic questions that anybody would have. How long does it take to charge? How far will this car go? Where can I find a charger? Like these important, critical questions that are going to push them kind of off the fence and over. They get these answers at Electrify Expo. So it's changing, and we see it just kind of trending more in that direction. More mainstream consumers. It's not so much about enthusiasts anymore. Enthusiasts of the space, enthusiasts of electric vehicles. People know EVs are coming. They're saying, hey, if I need to buy a car right now, why would I buy a gas car when 3 or 4 years down the road, the demand for that gas car and selling it is going to be a lot less than what it is even today? So they're thinking like that now. And so we're experiencing kind of a major mainstream influx of, these type of consumers.
And this expo is now in 7 cities, correct? So how did you make the decision to go to each one of those cities? Was there something specifically pulling you to those locations?
We meet with our stakeholders and our advisory board. We look at registration data and other types of data that shows us which markets we should be in, and that's where we go. Like I don't have I have places I would love to take Electrify Expo, but from a metrics or analytics point, it's not there yet. So we really go where the data tells us to go, and we get a lot of that information from a lot of the stakeholders here in the business.
That's a lot, though. 7 cities. So there are some other shows and electric vehicle live events that have come over to the United States from Europe. Do you see other shows like that as a threat, or do you see it as like the tides will rise all ships?
The ultimate goal is to drive consumer adoption. So I think it's great to see more shows come into the U.S. The difference between coming to Electrify Expo and any other show is in our execution, and you feel that as soon as you walk into the show. So there's no other show that you're going to find Tesla and Ford and BMW and all these other auto manufacturers at the headquarters level participating in shows. So we're a collection of the world's leading manufacturers. These aren't dealers that are coming out to our show. These aren't car clubs. These are the major manufacturers who are making major commitments to Electrify Expo on a long-term level. So we have more manufacturers to announce later this year, and we just we'll continue to expand our footprint to accommodate more and more of the leading brands into the expo.
And one of the unique aspects is that you have Industry Day, which is what we're at this moment in time. This is the Industry Day for the Long Beach location. And you have a lot of manufacturer representatives and a lot of media members and people really stirring up the conversation about EV adoption and the things that we can fix along the way, because there are, of course, a lot of challenges. So can you talk about the impact of Industry Day and all the people that are involved with that?
Yeah, Industry Day is really important to our vision for Electrify Expo. I think the festival is doing a great job of bringing in consumers. And Industry Day is shaping up to be a really premier EV trade day. And so our goal with Industry Day is to continue to expand that into a trade show. So that's why we brought over a team who have a lot of trade show experience and have won some of the biggest trade shows in the US on the team to expand that. But right now, where we are today, we have programming that has people like Ford and even the SVP from Walmart, bike manufacturer CEOs. So we really kind of stretch the gamut of trying to attack the issues and the questions that are most important to the industry and get those questions answered here at Industry Day.
Now, one of my favorite shows of the years is the Consumer Electronics Show, because I feel like they've kind of taken over into kind of like an auto show, but auto shows are somewhat dying in a sense. And I think that particular show, the Consumer Electronics Show, is closed off to only industry professionals. So do you see Electrify Expo kind of filling the gap there of creating not only the consumer side, but also the industry side of things and expanding upon that?
We do. I think that it's very easy to get left out in the noise of a show like that when you are focused on a particular industry like EVs. The EV industry needs its own trade show where they're not going to get saturated and flushed out by a bunch of consumer electronics news. So this is the whole purpose of Industry Day, is to give manufacturers a platform to reveal new products, to make new announcements. And we attract the world's leading media outlets to come here and cover the news that happens. And we have breaking news today from various auto manufacturers, tire manufacturers, and other brands that are using Electrify Expo to break news here. Bridgestone is a perfect example. Bridgestone has a new product that they're launching. It's a global reveal. It's extremely important to their brand, and they chose Electrify Expo to launch that product. So I think this is the start of many new opportunities and creative ways to use Electrify Expo to launch new products.
And you touched on a little bit about the other elements that you're starting to include, because obviously Electrify Expo is the experiential side of it. And you have the show off where we're showing off the EV conversions. But what are the other branches that Electrify is going into? And what do you see the impact of those?
Well, water is becoming much more popular. We're getting boating, electric boating and yachting companies. I see a lot in the outdoor recreation space. So RVs, ATVs, and side-by-sides. So we see that outdoor recreational space growing. We see the boating space growing. And certainly as Industry Day evolves, Industry Day will collect battery manufacturers. It'll collect more of the B2B side of the industry. So we have many brands that are B2B oriented, and they come to Electrify Expo thinking, hey, I want to be here. And now we're delivering them a new trade show where they can actually best make the best return on their investment will be Industry Day.
What kind of feedback have you received from the exhibitors that have showcased their products at the Electrify Expo?
They sell stuff.
Okay, that's great. That's what they want, right?
Well, we're social and digital geeks here in terms of data. So the way that we go to market and we advertise, it's super hyper targeted. I won't go into the details, but we're just really good at that. And so the consumer that we're bringing in is very much of a mid-purchase funnel consumer. So they're really coming to Expo to try stuff before they buy stuff. And exhibitors are experiencing that. We've had bike manufacturers move containers of bikes in a weekend. We have auto manufacturers who are matching up their data against registration data, and they keep coming back to Expo because we're helping them sell cars. So I think it's really about making sure that we continue to deliver the quality of Expo. It's bringing the quality of audience with the quality of experience so that exhibitors are selling things.
Yeah, and to that point with the quality side of things, what have you done to improve this year's Electrify Expo?
Yeah, well, we're still a baby, and so we've fixed a lot of process, challenges that we've had in years 1 and 2, but I think overall we've just expanded our footprint to accommodate more and more brands. Now one thing that you may have seen is that we entered into a partnership with Anchor. So Anchor is the world's leading #1 mobile charging company. So all of our 110 volt power in the festival is now all powered by renewable energy. So none of it's being delivered by anything that's gas or diesel oriented, and they're powering every single exhibitor in this space. So those types of partnerships and programs are allowing us to deliver a better show.
We do a lot of EV education here at Miss GoElectric, and behind the scenes that some of our viewers don't even see. And one of the things that we find is there's still a big challenge to educate consumers about going electric. What would you say is that big factor that is going to convert people who are not even interested yet in the EV realm to get into an electric vehicle?
There's a myriad of the top 3 or 4. And it's the ones I rattled off earlier. It's range, it's where do I charge, it's how long does it take. When you own an EV, like I own an EV, and you learn that driving an EV is different, and your lifestyle is a little bit different. And you adjust your lifestyle to driving that car. It doesn't take a lot, but when you've been driving a certain way for 20 or 30 years, like any sort of change feels like, oh, do I really want to learn something new? So when you come to Expo, you get a lot of these questions answered, but I think that range and where to charge and how long it takes to charge are questions that we get often, and they're answered here at Electrify Expo. I think people leave Electrify Expo being spit out the bottom of the purchase funnel. They have what they need in order to go make their purchase.
You just recently announced that you have Tesla showing off their vehicles at the Electrify Expo. Now, that is a great achievement to have them showcasing. So can you talk about that and give us a little bit of insight on your position of having Tesla here at the festival?
Yeah, Tesla joining every stop of the 2023 tour. It's amazing to have them here. I mean, they've been and they are the world's leading electric vehicle manufacturer here in the US. So to have them here and allow consumers to be able to experience Tesla who haven't is a great thing. Look, we're in a space that's exploding with new auto manufacturers. I mean, there's so many new auto manufacturers that are delivering new products. So people come to Expo being able to experience Tesla, and they also get to experience Ford and BMW and Volvo and Kia and plenty of other auto manufacturers that are here. But we all know, Tesla doesn't do a lot of marketing and advertising and PR, right? So the fact that they chose Electrify Expo, I think, reinforces our leadership in the space, and they know that they can reach the right consumer at Electrify Expo.
What would you say is your achievements and goals over the next 5 years with Electrify Expo?
We're just going to continue to be focused on what we're doing. I think what we're doing is working. We can increase and offer new elements to the festival. We're not looking to become a music festival. We're very focused on being a festival that is going to drive EV adoption. So we're going to stay focused on that. Stay focused on delivering more and more experiences. Add festival components, but continue to do what's been working for us and be hyper focused on that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, BJ, for joining us today. Really appreciate your time and learning more about the Expo. And thank you guys so much for watching this latest edition of our In Charge segment. And don't forget, until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.